We talked about on the show yesterday, this, you don't hate the media enough, right? Just the idea that you don't hate the media enough. And their reaction to this bombing in Iran has just been incredible because they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They're like, what are you talking about? They didn't have any nuclear stuff going on. And then they're like, well, but actually, how do we know that you obliterated it and destroyed it? Because we saw a low confidence preliminary report that said that you might not have. So we're just going to go to air with it and make you look bad. I mean, it's just been really, really incredible. And they got ripped a new one today by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who held a press conference this morning. And it was pretty incredible. I want to play this first one here is, there's a saying. And there's a lot of sayings in the military. Now, I've never been in the military. You've played a military serviceman on TV.
Just like it, Eric.
Just like it, man.
Just like it.
The same thing. By the way, I'm joking. No disrespect, okay? But, they have a lot of sayings and mottos and figures of speech in the military, many of which refer to men because it's mostly men. My personal belief is that it should only be men, but that's fine. It's just, the point is, like, it's no disrespect to anyone. It's just a figure of speech, something they say. And, the media wants to get up in arms if female pilots don't get their credit because these sexist Republicans are trying to erase females from the military again, or not at all. Here is Pete Hegseth addressing that.
Acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission. The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. Very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots, and I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games.
It's just so refreshing to see, because when you're talking about, you can have your own opinion on whether or not we should have gone in there and bombed these nuclear sites. You can have that conversation. I appreciate all types of views. But what I'm not willing to entertain is, but why didn't you give the female pilot credit? Because you said boys and bombers, and that could be offensive to the female pilot. Could you let the female pilot speak for herself? If she has a problem, she's more than welcome to bring it up. But odds are she already knows that it's a figure of speech and she's not at all offended because she's not a little bitch. If she's a bomber pilot. I mean, I'm saying, like, she sounds like a badass. I don't think she's going to be at all offended. And here we are taking questions, and instead of very important questions that they could be asking, they're asking if he could at least give female pilots credit or whether or not he's sexist. I mean, it's like it's so crazy to me that they still think that this is going to work.
Yeah, that's what pisses me off about that. I mean, the media, they're still wired like it is, 2016, 2017. Like, they haven't really changed from that line of thinking where they can only analyze things through the lens of race and gender and demographics and, underrepresentation, overrepresentation. That's the only way that they can see something as good. Actually, everything that they base, their whole sort of moral positions are based upon that. And whether or not that thing is good or bad is really contingent or dependent on that, like how they analyze that. What was the makeup of this? So stupid, but it shows in their questions. You brought up a fantastic point just now. Like, they should be asking more important questions because there's a lot of them to be asked surrounding what's going on in Iran with be it the ceasefire and what's that going to lead to, the conflicting reports as you've talked about with. Did they work? 3 months ago they weren't even close to getting nukes. Now they are close to getting nukes. Well, they bombed it. They obliterated everything. It's been they've been set back for several years. Oh wait, they're only set back for a couple of months. These are the things you think they'd be diving into as reporters if they're responsible, because the American people will want to know that. They'd be asking those questions like, can you give us clarification? Are you sure? what proof do you have? Like, what intelligence are you relying on to assess it?
Which is important.
That's all important. They're not asking, and I watched it before the show. They didn't ask any of that hardly. Sure, Rubio talked about kind of, the leaks and everything, but they weren't really talking or really asking those necessary questions. Our media in this country is a joke. It is a complete and utter joke. I think everybody that's looking, because yes, everybody watching this show has opinions on what's going on in Iran. It's probably split right down the middle on who people think is positive, people think is negative. So everybody's like, well, we want to know more. We would love to know what else is going on. You're not, unfortunately, going to get it from them.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you brought up that Rubio had some things to say, but it's like, well, he might as well have just pre-taped a recorded conversation speaking directly to the camera because they're not going to ask any follow-up questions that are worth asking. So why even have them in the room if it's not to ask educated, well thought out questions that actually matter rather than, well, but can you apologize to the female pilot for hurting her feelings?
Absolutely insane.
I mean, the sad thing about this, I'll almost guarantee that the female pilot is cringing right now saying, hey, listen, what's one of the first things they say when they go into those situations? Treat me like one of the boys, right? It's a figure of speech. Everybody says it. Everybody says this. And we know, look, this is not the MCU, right? It's not Marvel where they have to hit it home all the time. Look, I'm a woman. They're like, hey, listen, I'm as good as anybody else. I passed the test. I mean, if you are a B-2 pilot and you are flying a plane that's $500 million, you earned it.
Right.
There's nothing to do with DEI in that. And we all know that. That's the funny thing. We all know that, right? When we're looking at this. I want to make another point, Sarah. And that is, I saw today the Ayatollah Khomeini come out and go, they did not do any damage. And everyone's like, see, the Ayatollah said that.
Oh, we're believing the Ayatollah now.
Are you really believing the Ayatollah? Really? All of a sudden and what is really disconcerting for me is the amount of people that want it to be true.
Yeah.
Like they want this, and this isn't, again, they're in their little bubble. This isn't a game.
Iran having nuclear weapons, totally great to them. Yeah.
How many times have we said this is a group of people that want to hasten the coming of the 12th Imam, which means the end of the world. And you're like going, I hope they didn't get it because I'd win because Orange Man, shows Orange Man didn't do it. Well, actually, no. No, this would be catastrophic for everybody. And again, like Eric said, people are split down the middle, mainly because, and a friend of mine said this the other night, Mary Rook said that she had two, well, I love the way she said it. I've got two people inside me. One that's like, I'm very, very glad that we took out this threat, but also I don't want to get into a war with them. Mm-hmm. Right, and I think that those two things can be true at the same time as well.
It's a very nuanced, complex
It's very
situation.
nuanced. Yeah. It's very nuanced. And we need to start, not doing what CNN does. And that is, and by the way, and Fox, by the way, they were a disgrace, the questions that they were asking Pete this morning, or it was this morning, right? Yeah. We need to slow down, step back a little bit and ask the intelligent questions.
So let's play. He did have quite an incredible exchange with one of Fox News's reporters here, Jennifer Griffin. I mean, I had secondhand embarrassment for her after he was done reaming her. Here is Pete Hegseth and Jennifer Griffin from Fox News.
Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally.
I don't
what the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging
so
that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security.
Yeah,
that
that's
this
what's
department
crazy.
has done since
This
you've
is
been
a
here, and I
former
appreciate
Fox
that.
News host.
So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
That is so awkward. And you notice in the moment, I just don't know how I would feel about a situation, but I can almost guarantee that if I am in there and I'm speaking to a secretary, I don't argue with him in the middle of his answer. Like, I probably just take it and deal with it later. Like, I try to get with him privately maybe and say, hey, just so you know.
Or just report it. Like, let's say he bullshitted the answer. You just write that. Report it. Report
Exactly.
that.
Let him answer. Yeah. Let him answer the question how he cares to answer it. And then whatever you want to say about it afterwards, you're allowed to do that. But the way that she pushed back on him so much, like the ego was in her way. Yeah, the ego, she couldn't let go. She's like, no, I'm going to correct you. And then let's go ahead and play one more here. Pete Hegseth, there's just something so beautiful about standing right in front of all of these people who have lied to the American people for the better part of a decade and just expressing just how much you loathe them. It has to be so cathartic, I would imagine. Watch.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope
it's so true.
Maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it. Spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time and time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad.
If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.